Hello there, MBA hopefuls. This is the third video in this short series on explaining and offsetting a low GMAT or GRE score in your MBA application. In the first video, I talked about when the optional essay should not be your first response to a low score. In the second, I broke down what real counter evidence about your academic abilities actually looks like. Today, I want to talk about one specific form of counter evidence that comes up in candidate questions: alternative transcripts. Alternative transcripts are most often discussed in the context of a low GPA, but I see candidates sometimes bring them up when they're trying to offset a low GMAT or GRE score as well. And the way they think about them is often slightly off. So let's start with definitions. An alternative transcript is a record of coursework you complete outside of your undergraduate or prior graduate studies, specifically with the intention of submitting it as part of your MBA application. The goal is simple: to provide an additional academic signal where the existing one is weak or incomplete. That could be a low GPA, limited quantitative coursework, or in some cases, a low GMAT or GRE test score. Over time, a few programs and classes have become the gold standard in this space. The most common are HBS Online CORe or Certificate of Readiness. Another one is MBA Math. And a class that's often mentioned is the UC Berkeley Extension Math for Management course. All of them are familiar to admissions committees. They understand what these courses demand and what strong performance in them does and does not signal. Now, here's the part that matters. Alternative transcripts do not replace a GMAT or GRE score. They do not cancel it out. And they're not a shortcut around testing. Their role is narrower than many candidates hope. A strong alternative transcript helps admissions committees answer a very specific question. If we set the test score aside for a moment, do we see credible recent evidence that this candidate can handle MBA level quantitative and analytical work? That's it. This is also why sequencing matters. In most cases, you should not be thinking about an alternative transcript instead of retesting. You should be thinking about it only after you've pushed your test score as far as it can realistically go. Once you have a score that is unlikely to materially improve, then you can decide whether an alternative transcript adds meaningful signal or whether it's redundant. And if you do decide to pursue one, selectivity matters. The more competitive the programs you're targeting, the more important it is that your alternative coursework is substantial and well regarded. That's why something like HBS Online CORe tends to carry more weight, not because of the brand alone, but because of the rigor, structure, and commitment that it requires. Used correctly, alternative transcripts can reduce academic risk. Used carelessly, they just add noise. And it's important to remember, any of these tools help manage uncertainty about your academic readiness, but they don't reset competitiveness. If you're aiming for a very competitive MBA program, a strong test score is table stakes. If you want to see how all of this fits together, testing, optional essay, counter evidence, and alternative transcripts, make sure you've watched the first two videos in this series. And if you're here because you're thinking about using an alternative transcript to address a low GPA, you'll find a more detailed breakdown linked in the description below. Now, if this video helped clarify how the MBA admissions process really works, a like lets me know to continue covering topics at this level of depth.